Welcome back, everybody, to the LCS Challengers League, where we have our last best of 2 of the day between Evil Genius Challengers and Team Liquid Challengers. I am Grapes, joined alongside Mazel and Cubby for this game. Should be an exciting one. These two teams aren't at the same places in the standings, Mazel, but they've both been riding hot in the second round robin.
They have, and I think that's an important factor here, specifically just to see kind of how they've risen to the occasion. But particularly now, while we have to check in on our stakes, I think both these two teams, and especially EG, have been an incredible come up, and I'm really excited to see what Certi and Bradley have in store for us today. But let's go ahead and check on the grill. All right, I'm gonna go get the grill real quick. We're just gonna check on it real quick. All right, just real quick. So we're grilling some steaks here, but things have changed. All right, you see still the big double steak right there. We're still piling on top of each other, but look at the steak with the rosemary. That's not as important anymore. That's not as important. So yeet AoE out of there, because we're adding some FlyQuest peppers to this mix. All right, we got to see if the steaks are going to matter for Supernova. But the big steaks, I don't know if I can increase the size here. The big steak is this one right there. Look at that, big steaks. Taco versus Maryville. Big moment for them to both step up and clench their spot in the playoffs and not have to go to promotions. I think that's a big moment, and we're going to be finished grilling these steaks tomorrow.
Honestly, this is the scientific world that I want to live in, where my meat grows when I put it on the grill instead of shrinks. That's I like
virtual living. Get you some.
There was you said a bunch of things about meat and having it grow. We can just move right past that as we head into the standings for our last day. Headed into our last game of the day. The big one that we got to keep our eyes on here.
Why am I surrounded by filth?
Maryville versus Team
Clean off the grill.
As well as Supernova, who need a 2-0 over FlyQuest to stay in it.
Yeah, they do, actually. I thought Gummy was going to come in there with this big brain analysis. I'm just, I'm here to enjoy the ride, but it really has been a ride, right? I think we got to hear a lot from some of these top teams in the last little bit, a lot of the motivation going into the end of the split and finding a lot of the promise they wanted to finish strong and bring momentum into the playoffs.
Should be really exciting to watch, but before we get to talking about the stakes for the playoffs, we got to talk about the stakes of this matchup here. Starting off with our first team in Evil Genius Challengers. Copy, this team has looked very good over this last week. They just went 5-1 in week 4 and are on good trajectory once again.
I have really liked what I have seen out of EGC, as they are 8-2 in their last 10 games. And I think for me, they're 2-0 over FlyQuest Challengers to wrap up week 5 was the turning point. And what hopefully is going to be a better season and a better playoff showing from this roster, because the names on this roster has talent. We just really haven't seen it come together. There have been some outside circumstances from spring. Beast is not getting in. Players coming in late. Now, summer, of course, one more spot for Certi, but it really feels like this EGC team could be a team that is a potential dark horse in playoffs. And building up momentum. They have built up a lot of momentum to take on our top dogs in TLC.
This team has looked very impressive, Mazel. They're locked in first place already in Team Liquid Challengers. And even with the new roster, still just all cylinders firing.
Yeah, I think Mir, obviously the MVP from last split, a big moment to continue capitalizing as we've seen him grow even in this second split. Harry coming back down from LCS. Arrow has been a quiet shout out for me. I know not a lot of people have been praising him, but he's been having an incredible split himself. But I think biggest focus for me goes to a lot of the utility we've seen out of Bradley grow from just last split to this split as well. His Scion is a menace, but you get to see a lot of influence in the macro decisions from this top laner.
This team has done really well working as a unit, and a large part of that is about their coach, Spawn, because he's been a part of this organization for a long time, and we got the chance to catch up with him. I think we did. At some point.
We did. It's loaded up. Not only did we get the chance to sit down with Spawn, I was actually able to chat with him, but specifically, this matchup interesting between those two top laners, because, of course, Certi joining EG halfway through this year, actually was originally with TLC. So the fact that we were able to sit down with Spawn, he had some words and thoughts to give about Certi and his time in TLC.
Yeah, so the agreement we came to was it was obviously Bradley's starting spot, and then Certi would have to earn the minutes off him. And that's the way I like to do subs in general, is, make sure the sub knows who's a sub and who's a starter and kind of what the dynamic is going to look like. Certi came into the office 2 or 3 times a week during the time that he was a sub. He had a PC to play solo queue, and he also had a PC to watch scrims that was in the coach's room. And we would look at a lot of things from kind of his perspective, describe from my perspective that, whilst I can see some of the things he wants to do in lane, what points of macro are kind of non-negotiables if he is going to fill in as a substitute, and just tried to expand kind of his understanding of his role within the team, because that was one of his goals. So that's what it looked like for the first couple of weeks. He was actually getting to this time where he probably would have started earning minutes, to be honest. I think Bradley obviously was going through a little bit of a rough time with his mum. I was trying to kind of rest him as much as possible because, as you know, scrims can be a little bit stressful. And Certi was playing really, really well in solo queue, and I thought the meta was starting to shift to maybe favor him a little bit more on the fighters like Jackson Renekton. So we discussed what it could look like for him playing a little bit of scrims, but then obviously Evil Geniuses reached out and said they wanted to add him full time, so I really encouraged him to take that opportunity.
And Certi never stopped pushing. I think one thing we've learned from Certi is he's a guy who wants to push the mold, and even in a substitute position, he was always pressing up and pressuring Bradley. I think that's so healthy in a competitive mindset, but the fact that he has been such a reawakening for Evil Geniuses Challengers is truly the butter on the bread, if you will.
Hey, iron sharpens iron. I know that back when I was a coach, one of the best teams I had, my team asked for me to incorporate a player who was then Diamond 1 as a sub. He ended up being really key for us moving forward. He actually was a support that had to play mid and jungle for us in tournaments, just given circumstances. And really, having him to sit on the outside as that tertiary coach was really key in having the growth of our team. And great to hear some good things about Certi with his time in TLC. But personally, I've liked watching Certi with EGC because I get to see him on the Rift. And his play on the Rift has been damn good.
It really has.
It's been so cool to see just how quickly this team has been able to flip things around. And I think a large part of it, Mazel, is just the fact that Certi playing damn good League of Legends.
Yeah, his connection with Shaden, it does alter some of the tempo and some of the moves early on from Evil Geniuses, but it's also giving them a point of power that they didn't necessarily have with Soul in the top lane, and it gives you a lot of confidence when he is winning solo lane matchups. And I know something he was working on so much coming into this split, but also last split, is transitioning laning leads that he knows he can get. He feels like he's one of the best laners in the league into wins, and I think that's what we didn't see from him on Team Liquid first last split.
Yeah, saw that in that last clip. Also, shout out to Smoothie, who had a great interrupt there on the Nico. He was channeling ult, trying to flash in. And I know we're talking about the top laners. Personally, I think that each of the supports on these teams have been a little bit slept on this split. So even excited to see the matchups from top to bottom going into this game.
You have to talk about the other side of the coin. If we talked about Certi, Bradley is the one starting for TLC. Has been a really hyped up prospect for this entire year and is really making things just continue to improve, Cubby.
Yeah, it's funny because in 22 summer, I remember, we were pretty confident that Tenacity was our strongest top laner, but it was really a debate after that, like, hey, like, is it Bradley? Is it Certi? We even had Darshan at the time. And Bradley created a lot of space between himself and the pack with that playoff run that TLA had. And I think that Bradley has continued to grow, as you called out correctly, Mazel, that utility play. I think Bradley's tank play is really solid. Keep in mind, this is a guy that was a mid lane role swap to top lane in his second year of the role. He doesn't have the hiccups that he used to have, but we have still seen him bring
Look at this,
that flair. Yeah, he brings the flair, but also I think the consistency around his tank play. This is the best Scion team in the league, and that is because of how Bradley plays the map with this champion. And so we have really seen him grow in his own right, become a better top laner and a more well-rounded player.
Yeah, I just want to give one last little caveat there. Throwing up the KT rollster there for Arrow at the end, but also just the fact that we've gotten to hear from this guy himself. He feels like now, after going 2 chains with all of his friends who are now up in the big times there, Harry back feels confident and comfortable, and they can utilize their duo to really have some strength through solo lanes.
Can Evil Geniuses get to 500, or will Team Liquid hold their reign over first place? The draft for game number 1 is about to get underway. Mazel and Cubby, the floor is all yours.
All right, we will take it, and we will see what exactly happens here. If Team Liquid continue to be that lead horse in the race that we've said so long ago, they continue to be heads and above everyone else. While EGC, the other side, they've had an incredible come-up in round robin number 2 since Certi joined. We get the J-span from EGC on the blue side, while Team Liquid will take away that all-loved Tristana on the red side. It is the Xayah as well, targeting Arrow.
Sorry, I had to coffee up there for my last moment, as we have a second coffee for our 5th and 6th games of the day on LCS Challengers. Honestly, the games that I was most looking forward to, as I really feel like EGC has had, I don't even want to say a resurgence, but they started playing the League of Legends that we kind of expected out of this roster, given who is on this team. And it's been great to see them on this 8-2 run. I think they're playing maps really well. They have a good understanding of what their win cons are. They're bringing out creative strats. They 1-3-1, I think, extraordinarily well. And TLC, for me, they're the team in this league that play map the best. So it'll be a true challenge for EGC, and honestly a nice measuring stick to see where they are in our last regular season week 4 playoffs, going up against the team that has already locked in that #1 seed, moving into our next phase of the tournament.
We are getting through that first phase of bans here. We get that Rel joining the other two for EGC, the Kaisa and the LeBlanc there for TL, and there's still some very big power picks left up, and immediately Shaden will pick up the Kindred.
All right. I mean, this is the champion for Shaden that we have seen denied a lot. He has only gotten his hands on this champion one time this
Because it's scary when he does.
It is scary. Now, Shaden, when he was on the come up, he was rank 1 and rank 2 in NA simultaneously, and a lot of that was actually around his Kindred play, which is fantastic. But guys, he's going up against Mir. I could not have wished for anything more. It is Mir's Lee Sin. He is a freak of nature on this champion. His Lee is incredible. We're already in for a treat. Both junglers very talented going up against two of the champs. I feel like they pilot the best. Already excited for this one.
And with the way that Evil Geniuses approaches this, like, these are guys that want to flex on you. They want to play confidently. I don't think there's a single person, maybe Smoothie's a little bit quieter than the rest, but he's the glue that puts together all that aggression that comes out for Evil Geniuses. It's a tall task to take down TLC, but that's when a beautiful chip on your shoulder can actually aid you in taking you down. So I love that aggression already centered for both these teams. We do have that Varus, though, locked in for Team Liquid, and it does provide a lot of utility, also so much strength in the 2v2 bot.
I'd love to see a Nico or an Azir here from mid just to secure some mid push to help this Kindred invade. But instead, it's going to be Rakan locked in. Xayah is off the board. So Smoothie going for a champ. I feel like Smoothie's piloted really well. I really feel like each of these supports have been slept on this split, by the way. I think Smoothie's having the best split we've seen from him since he rejoined this league. And Kimdown continues to evolve and scale as a player. Took a back seat to, obviously APA's development as an NA mid laner that was really on the come up. But I think very quietly, Kimdown is putting together an immaculate split and is definitely a support even to look out for moving forward. As I know that TL is really happy to have him in the building. A lot of good reviews with his work ethic behind the scenes, and it's really shown in this play on the Rift. As he came from a collegiate player to now being one of the better supports and challengers within a year. That's very impressive.
He's also just a hilarious guy. If you haven't watched any of our little content, we had that Liquid tour that we did as well. Ryoma, though, going to be picking up the Ahri, so a lot of mobility and cohesion with that Kindred duo there from the mid-jungle duo. It's the Nico that slinks on through as the last pick for red side TLC third.
All right. So I was kind of calling out Nico, actually, for Ryoma, as I think Nico is really good at securing push for Kindred. You can play around that ult well, but TLC using some of the tech that we actually saw from Yoshik and APA on the LCS stage this past week with that Lee Sin plus the Nico. As Varus counter is going to be taken away. I love the Ezreal ban. Varus is vulnerable to range. King's Ezreal is fantastic. And now likely thinking of Aphelios to come through from TLC. I think Varus is very playable into Aphelios, but Aphelios still just being a dominant marksman we have in the meta. Or we could see a Ziggs takeaway, as King has been piloting the Ziggs. It pairs well with Rakan. I think it plays well around Kindred ult. It would not be that traditional marksman. You kind of have that in the side of Kindred.
All right, it's the Jinx, though, taken away from King. Something else he's been able to go through, and it leads a lot to his playstyle, right? Feeding off that aggression, but then having that momentum forward. Still maybe some ranged options available to go into the Varus, though, so we'll have to see what kind of flexibility they'll have with that. But I do expect some more engaged-centered focus here for Evil Geniuses with their last ban.
All right,
there's that Malphite towards Bradley.
Okay. Wonder
Bradley's Malphite, the Shamrock man, has been a little bit scary, too.
I like the Nautilus combo with Varus. It's Varus, you want to take Cleanse into him. Nautilus loves when you take Cleanse as a champion. It's not heal, where he gets a little bit more value. But oh boy, it's not Ziggs. It's actually going to be the Seraphine for King. We saw this in game 2 against FlyQuest last week from EG, it was specifically played into the Ziggs, but this makes the 5-stack very powerful for EGC moving into the later stages of this game. As now Certi gonna have to blind his champion. Honestly, I would expect to see something like Renekton here. Cassante also not bad. You could get out a NACL ult with
Nah, you need that side lane pressure right there. That's the Jax for Certi, but that means Bradley gets the counter pick here.
Does. I think Cassante, very playable for Bradley if he wants it. And it could go Renekton too if TLC want to really focus on this early power. I feel like TLC, they get outscaled already with the Seraphine showing. So really curious to see what they end up opting for here.
Ooh. Classic. Classic. We get the Bradley Gangplank.
All right.
And this was a pick he grew so much on when he first came. They did not want to touch this pick for the 15-foot pole when this man started in top lane. The fact they're willing to opt into that one here as a 5th pick, beautiful stuff.
He has 23 games on Gangplank. It's his most played, and it's his highest win rate at 82%. So rather filthy Gangplank here for the side of Bradley. And this does throw a question into the scaling basket, as Gangplank does scale very hard. And this is a matchup where Jax needs to play up and needs to play aggressive in order for this to work. So curious now how Shaden actually changes up his pathing to try and support his top laner. That bot lane definitely set up to be left on its lonesome for EGC. I think a lot of this is going to be about the top lane, while for TLC, mid-jungle duo focus. What can Harry and Mir get done against Ryoma and Shaden? As we haven't even mentioned the mid lane matchup, man. Both Oceanic mid laners, 2 of our top mid laners we've had throughout the history of Academy and now Challengers. This matchup full of surprises here, and excited to see both these teams hit the Rift itself.
A beautiful duo of teams coming into our final weekend. The match is set, and we are in for a spicy one. We already talked so much about how Certi versus his old orb versus the man he pushed up and actually helped kind of hone in this last split in Bradley. And now he's in a very interesting one-on-one matchup into the Gangplank, into something that Bradley has been able to show such strength on. Make sure you're spamming in chat who you think's going to win. EGC for Evil Geniuses and TLC for Team Liquid. And now it is just about this early pathing for both junglers, that mid-jungle duo. Where will we see their eyes turn to?
Minions have spawned.
So I think for Mir, in this Lee Sin Kindred matchup, if you get the jump on Kindred, it's very helpful. As we see TL, they're going to brute force in a late ward just to try and track where Kindred ends up going. Shaden, though, spotting that, as they had an early ward from EG, will actually go around and start on the red. So bot to top clear. Not really surprised, given that Shaden has the Seraphine Rakan bottom, but am a little bit surprised to see Mir contest. As the Gangplank level 3, not as strong as the Jax level 3, but Lee Sin maybe thinking that he can change it. And it is Mir's Lee Sin of all people. He was undefeated on this champion in the Oceanic region. And his Lee Sin, it really is truly disgusting.
It really is. I think the execution we see from him, also just the playmaking ability, is really big. But now it's about being proactive, right? And I think we see both junglers trending towards this top side of the map. We'll see if maybe there's a stop off in this mid-jungle duo, but that is also what I've really appreciated. Kind of Harry coming back in here, we got to hear a lot from him in the way that he's approaching this, the things he wants to grow to really succeed in the LCS once he gets that shot again. But Ryoma has been a constant here, and it's been really cool to see him mesh with this EG roster, but specifically Shaden.
Yeah, I know that when Ryoma first stepped into this team, talking with EG, I said Ryoma really did take Shaden under his wing early on. And I think that, as someone that just is a rookie, having a player like Ryoma who has had so much success in Oceanic and a lot of success at this level as well, very fun as Shaden in a 3-camp mid and gets Harry's flash very early on. As now, see if he actually snowballs that into the top side. Not going to be the case. Instead, just going to go hit his own camps. And Mir, having made a gank yet, is going to be a little bit ahead of the clear. Each jungler still think really want to impact this top lane.
Yeah, I think the fact of the matter is we're just building towards this top set fight. And I think Certi will have some strength in the side lane later on. Obviously, Jax is oh so strong, but playing with a bit of a nice edge up here against Bradley. Feeling good. He gets the Counter-Strike off, gets this hit, and one more. Oh, pulling out the flash from Bradley.
Mir is here, but Shaden is here to cover. So Shaden dropping 2 of his camps to make sure that he is up here. Mir cannot make a play. Gonna hit the vision plant. It's the... Actually, Shaden dodges around it. And now, Sonic Wave down.
And we'll see the 1v1 actually going into a 2v2, into a 2v3, which means Team Liquid will get the Scuttle Crab, the all-important fight. But it is the mark on the other side that Shaden was wishing maybe a little bit of a fight over. Should just end up being a good path from TL to take that one too.
It was first reset in the bot lane for the bot lane of TLC. So Kim Down walking off, able to contest this. And good understanding from each of our challengers teams here. Of course, 2 of the 3 teams affiliated with LCS orgs that we have in this matchup. Good understanding from each that top lane is where this game is going to be played. So I think overall seeing the impact that each of our junglers have really put on this top lane, and even Kim Down making his way up, I feel like is appropriate from the side of TLC. As now it's Wave shoving back. Certi, he's going to eat a Sonic Wave here.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay, not going to fall for the bait just yet, but this Wave, a little bit of a dicey situation for him. He will have the TP back as well.
Yeah. I think that this is not nice from Certi to not try and contest this Wave. Yes, just base, TP back, take your lumps. It will be a better TP for Bradley, as he will have the opportunity to maybe walk back and actually will match the items of the Jack. So overall, with all the focus being put in that top lane, it still is a good start for Bradley. I think the key now for EGC is they have to punish that Gangplank's flash being down.
You just have to keep revisiting, right? Because we have seen Certi in his past, in his long past, especially even back when he was with Evil Geniuses before. The strength comes from the laning phase for him, and he's able to really have some great performances in the one-on-ones with a little bit of help sometimes from Shaden now recently. But it is still about transitioning that out. And with a scaling pick like Bradley has, I feel like these team fights are going to be dicey, and Certi that's going to need to pull a lot of the pressure and a lot of the eyes of Team Liquid.
And if that matchup ever gets shifted in the Gangplank's favor, it stays and remains Gangplank favored for pretty much the rest of the game. So, again, big focus being put down on this side of the map. Is Smoothie just able to sneak away from that trick.
Smoothie's the one that's been landing the lollipops all season long. So he knows the distance. Like, nah, you're not getting that one. We do see EG roaming up top. Will be spotted, though. This control ward nicely placed by Bradley. Still going to be able to get off the wave. But it's the plates that are the most important thing for Certi.
Curious if Certi actually goes to fistfight Bradley behind the
Look at TL. Look at TL.
Case, yeah. TL, again, each of these teams knows how volatile this top lane matchup can be played.
Literally everybody.
Great to see this battle. I know that there's been no action taking place, but I do want to credit each of these teams for how they're playing the map around this win condition. I think that this is a really good read. Not just what EG wants to do in their draft and how TL is trying to respond. Fun back and forth that we have so far between each of our challenger squads is, well, there's no blood on the map. In a way, they have been answering blow for blow here, Mazel. And we'll have to see when something breaks instead of bends.
It's the thinking man's game here going on early on. No blood, we don't need that. We're gentlemen. But it is that dragon now that I'm looking at with the Rift Herald coming up on the other side in less than a minute, where teams want to focus. Because, again, we were talking about Mir's release in, but the mid-jungle duos do need to be a bit proactive on both sides and really want to see what kind of trades they're willing to make at this point.
First objective that could be looked at is the dragon, but I have a feeling that given all the topside focus, Mazel, we're going to be trading around this Herald. As Shaden at the
TP
moment,
advantage for Bradley if he wants to come to the turret.
he is. Potentially. But at the moment, we do have Shaden clearing out his bot side camps and trying to work his way back up to the top side. Mir is matching still with where we're at on the path. If Lee Sin and Kindred do meet at this moment, I do favor the Lee Sin and TLC. So that is one thing that Shaden and EG will have to look out for. But Shaden actually just going to back seed this dragon, go shop and prep for the Herald, where he's going to have items and a lot of strength here.
Certi able to push in that top side. That dragon does go to Team Liquid. They will also get the Scuttle Crab mark from Shaden too. So actually RNG coming up big for Team Liquid so far, but as you had said, Shaden already up towards this top side of the map, trying to get some vision up here and set up around the Rift Herald, because they can get an influx of gold in either one of the solo lanes. This duo becomes that much stronger.
ill-timed map state that we have at the moment. And Herald is hit. You can see both Mir basing, and there was recall being channeled. They decided to come down. This will be seeded over to the side of EGC. They want to continue to allow this gangplank to scale in the top side. As first two neutral objectives were traded, as you might have called out here, Mazel. I think all eyes have to be on where this Herald's dropped, and also if EGC can continue to try and push this gangplank around, because props to Bradley and TLC. Of course, that flash was burned early from the laning of Certi, but wasn't revisited or punished. Speaking of punish, King, I don't like where you're at.
Yes, flash. Oh no! Chains of Corruption is there. Last second, the cleanse will come out. And Piercing Arrow doesn't go his way. Certi in a bit worse for wear situation, but it has Shaden coming. Mirror's right behind him. Cannon Barrage coming out too. Certi charges up the counter-strike, but Shaden flashing, but he can't get out. Gets kicked. And the Lamb's Respite does save the day for a moment. Both going a little bit wide. Ships in the night. Still no blood. Almost 10 minutes in.
Oh, man. You can still see Beersley. They're able to get
dirty,
some pressure
man.
down. It's dirty. Not a kill, but still force them off. Force a TP from Ryoma. So lane's a little bit weird now from the side of EGC. But Flash is burned from each of our junglers as the 2v2 goes in favor of TLC. The fact it goes even in favor of TLC, and Harry able to get a point in mid lane thanks to Ryoma having to rotate up. So TLC find a small win.
We have a little bit of time to put some praise onto our former MVP, Mir, having a really incredible last split, a come up in. You might know him as Arthur, but it is really particularly the name he's made with Mir as his tag for Team Liquid Challengers here. And he really has been a force to be reckoned with in our league.
All right, so I was talking a little bit yesterday with Zamudo. He said that the changes they made to Trinity Force on Gangplank should do the same amount of damage as the Essence Reaver. So he expects most Gangplanks to go Triforce down. It looks like Bradley is on that tech. This does lead to a little bit of a stronger one-item spike for Gangplank. You don't get that crit scaling quite as quickly with the ER, but again, after the barrel changes, pretty much stronger one-item spike and same amount of damage as you scale later into the game, based on what Zamudo has been able to map out. So it seems like Bradley also on that tech.
Oh, Shaden, he's gonna do it. He's going the distance. Is he gonna get number one? Oh my God! Shaden, he's done it. He got his first mark 11 minutes in. Everybody give him congratulations. He finally gets the RNG working his way.
Oh, that feels bad, man. At least at the end, you said the RNG working his way, right? Like on the coin flip. Not bad.
Yeah, we take a couple of coin flips there, but I actually, memeing aside, I think it is important for Shaden to continue being very proactive on this Kindred. He has the Rift Herald available for him. Try to put some more gold into one of these solo lanes, and you see they're actually focusing up towards topside and focusing towards the likely candidate of Certi.
This is a deep flank, as Beatdown put it so eloquently on the other stream, so deep that King Arthur wouldn't even be able to pull the sword out. But fortunately, it is spotted, as it would just be a plate going over to Certi. And TLC actually see EGC retreating, so control board will not be contested, as Ryoma could come over the wall, but still a very slow game. And EGC matching most of the macro and the moves that we have seen out of TLC, which honestly is props to them. They scale well with the Seraphine. I know the topside scaling very much in favor of the GP and TLC, but the Seraphine is scary when things get grouped, and it looks like finally EG are going to find that play onto Bradley. Bradley, really nice barrel there from him.
And Barrage onto the wave here. He gets locked down, and First Blood finally goes to Shaden. He also got a mark from that one, and the turret juggle works out. Oh, Yell coming up the rear here. They have both Mir, Kim down, and Harry. Won't be able to get them, but they'll take down the Rift Herald.
Yeah, Herald had to be dropped. It was expiring, but the rotation from TLC prevents Herald from crashing. Arrow went to go catch that mid-wave. Now, we'll drop a little bit bot, but it's a Seraphine. Can't take a plate on its lonesome. So, overall, Arrow okay. And I gotta say, the scaling for TLC continues to get a little bit better, as it does look like Arrow is going for the magic damage variety of the Varus build. So, similar builds what we have seen the Kaisa with the Shiv into the Nashor's Tooth, and likely a third item Rift Maker, as one so goes on the Varus. This is a very bursty and poppy build. So, honestly, TLC, I like what they have. I know that you see Nico Lee Sin, you're like, oh, how is this good later in the game? But when you pair it up with Gangplank Varus, they have the opportunity to one-shot people. And if they are able to take down the Seraphine early, that's the big scaling tool that EGC is really building everything around in these later 5v5s. So it will be a big focus for TLC.
Yeah, we'll take their second dragon here with Mir making his way. He does get the smite off, and we will have a Cloud Dragon Soul on the Rift this time around. Pressure is still there against Bradley, but he is scaling into infinity, it feels like. We have next up the Rift-Tailed coming up in a short amount of time, but it's really how much more gold from these plates you can get, but not much because we're already out of time. And it went 3 the way of Certi up there in the top side, but everywhere else it's a little bit more finicky.
1k gold lead for EGC, 2 dragons for TLC, and I gotta say, this is a serious Mazel. I know that we're very early into this best of 2. This feels like a playoff match.
It does.
I mean, really credit to each team for executing the strategy and rather clean map play around what each composition wants to do. But each team feels like they're prepped and ready to go here as TL, even so much on the same page that they throw down 2 wards at the same time for Shade. They spot being taken.
Give him a little bit of leeway, but say, hey, we're here. Flashes, missing the dread line. Ryoma still locked up. Spirit Rush is there. Now
Nice,
the re-engage
Smoothie.
with the grand entrance with Smoothie, and he's the glue that's keeping it together, but the encore is what's bringing TL back. Ooh. And it's going to be EG with all 5 members around this Rift Herald. It actually gets the charge through, so it's going to have to reset. Team Liquid, though, looking at resets of their own, should not be able to contest this, and this has been a trade of neutral objectives all the way down.
They still have Harry's
Oh my god, the
off.
resets multiple times. That really hurts EG. Gotta get in here,
This is good for TL.
Yeah, Ryoma is
Really good
kicking
for
in.
TL.
They got the re-engaged. Lamb's Respite is there. You got a lot of time buying from EG. Smoothie will flash away as well. King's trying to get there. You got Shaden capitalizing, but the Pod Blossom comes through. Certi leap strikes out. Look, King has finally arrived. King doesn't have much, but Ryoma has the flash, and he gets the charm. Cannon Barrage, though, is pretty big coming out for Bradley. He will have to flash to get out of the back of the pit, and that's a huge trade back and forth, and the carousel starts turning 15 minutes in.
Great fight from EG as TLC, they focus down Smoothie, who was able to escape with the help of the Lamb's Respite, but another TP comes in.
Let's go. We can't stop, won't stop as EG.
Stolen.
Oh my god, Harry! He steals the Rift Herald! What?
Oh, Shada was looking for the combo with the mark. He missed it by about 29 HP is what I think I saw.
They instantly drop it.
He got it with a rocket belt. And yeah, I love the call. Instantly drop it mid-outer falls. They can even get a second crash as EGC are trying to recover from that last fight. And the back and forth game, yeah, we saw it on the map earlier. We're even seeing it now in the fights as each team trying to go blow for blow. Oh, hold on.
Bradley about to get a couple blows delivered his way, and he goes down to Certi.
Mistake from Bradley stepping up there, not respecting the fact that EGC could reset. They take the cheesy kill. No one's going to have that empowered TP actually to answer that bot turret, but letting Shade and farm here as might be giving away the strat for EGC moving forward. A lot of gold on the Shade, and then this Kinder going to be good as local gold goes to the wayside. Minions will clean up this turret. EGC even the board, find that gold lead a little bit back in their favor. Take another look. EGC, big thing for me, Smoothie already had ult use, and this angle is really good for TL as they find the full combo onto Smoothie, but Lamb's Respite saves Smoothie and was able to flash out of there, which meant that Mir, he had overcommitted. Harry doesn't have a good angle for the Hot Blossom into Flash combo, so that's what really gave the opening for EGC to turn this one around.
My goodness, that turn to just the beautiful flash charm in the end really sets them up for success. And King took a while to get to that fight. That is where, TL were trying to take advantage of the offset tempo.
And this was a close one. And then Harry, I see 29. Oh, it was 91. All right, there was a 9 in there. Close enough. Rocket Belt. They don't tell you that when you're going to recommend that item in the store. Could steal Herald.
They did get that mid-outer tower as well. I don't believe they got a second charge off on it, but they did have some strength given to them. Now that a dragon is coming up in 40 seconds as well, there's not much for EG to play around. If they're coming out of mid lane, they're going to have to be a lot more scared moving forward. Oh, Certi getting a little bit scary in the side lane here at 202 on the Jax.
So again, how this matchup plays out, Gangplank will be favored in the team fights, gives TL a good scaling option moving forward. However, In the side lane, Jack's going to win out, especially with the small item advantage that Certi has at the moment. Going for that ability haste with Caulfield's and now. Oh boy, that's a big TP coming in from Certi.
Certi's trying to make it happen here. Ryoma going forward, baiting him out. The Chains of Corruption did connect, and Certi has to back away with the leap strike. They got another TP coming in. That was King with a weird TP.
That's fine. They're just trying to zone him off for Dragon.
They got the spellbook, so get something going through. And that Dragon would actually set back a lot of the scaling potential for TLC. Gives them another 5 minutes.
It is a goofy game because like each team has scaling potential. I just think that like builds that Gangplank and Varus will be going, there's an opportunity to one-shot. But you have to one-shot the Seraphine because if you don't take Seraphine off the board, you have a Kindred with Lamb's Respite and then Seraphine with Encore. Not to mention that Empowered W is going to be giving EG so much healing. So yeah, like TLC, they have tools and options to take down the Seraphine, but I really think the game plan for TLC, if they don't bleed out Seraphine, take her out early, or they don't bleed out Encore or Lamb's Fight, they're going to be doomed. So those are the two things that I'm really looking for from TLC in terms of execution. If they want to win this game, they're going to have to execute, take away the big members that are going to really make things easy for EGC moving forward in this game.
They're moving a lot of vision for Team Liquid around this Rift Herald, or now the Baron Pit, in about 20 seconds. It's not something they have the damage really to burn. And they did get second item spike for Arrow with that Nashor's Tooth, but they want to punish Certi as much as they can in the side lane before they would try to go for an attempt like that.
Wave pushed on in as TLC trying to reclaim some space here in the river.
Ooh, Shaden's got a mark spawned on the bottom side.
Is that a twofer? Numero dos?
No, I believe he got the second one off of killing Bradley because he had the mark on him when they went topside. So I believe this would be 3, unless he got one in the middle of things. But as we see pressure bot side, it's another outer tower that's in the eyes of EG.
Shaden was spotted moving in here, so Harry paying respect the power of the Kindred. As Shaden going to take a camp away from Mir, and Shaden in really good shape this game. Mir wasn't able to get off in the face of Kindred early, and now TLC is going to get off in the face of this Baron, and it's spotted with a blue trinket. Likely to be pulled off.
Wow. Okay. Well, they'll just use that 2-item spike here with the Trinity Force for Bradley as well.
Yeah.
They're just pulling the attention of EG, and that's something that Team Liquid have been so good about this play. You got to give props to Spawn and the coaching behind them, but the execution on the Rift is down to these guys, and it's been really nice to see.
I still fear that Seraphine is going to be the CEO of this game. So, oh boy, big TP coming in. They're
from
trying
behind
to find
from
an
Harry. He is going to take the form of Mir
got
as a
flash.
flank. Cannon Barrage has come through. There's the flash double pop blossom, and guess who gets locked down? It's the King himself. And Shaden tries to go forward on it, but could not save his bot lane carry.
That's big. I think King thought he would be in range of the Lamb's Respite or not get one-tapped in times. That's why he held onto the flash. TLC, props to them. That's exactly what I talked about. Take away the Seraphine first. That's how you can open things up for yourself. EGC, if they walk in here, they're going to be at a serious disadvantage. So EG have to be very careful about where they pick their spots around this Baron fight.
They burn this down so fast, but they are honestly just looking for the pullback. Grand Entrance comes in for Smoothie. Depth Charge gets to connect onto Shaden here. You got to be a little bit careful. Ryoma distracting over the wall. Trench line connects, and Lamb's Respite comes out immediately after. Certi can't get involved. Finally does. It goes. He finds him on the back line too. And Certi, he gets one onto Arrow. Goes golden, and Ryoma is here as well with the resets. You've got the charm coming up, and Mir gets out with the flash. This is so close. Mir has the hook line and sinker, but won't go for it. Blood across the board between EG and TL.
Good skirmish. I like how TLC force when the Seraphine's down. I think they have to. The fact that it's only a 1-for-1 in the back half, props to EG just taking what was given to them. It said, hey, without Seraphine, this is difficult. Smoothie, very brief, quick engage to get a chunk onto Kim down. Everything being burned onto the side of Shaden to try and get him down, which they do so successfully. And kiting away from Certi, I think TL, he played this one out well. It's just 1-for-1 was all that was given. Arrow had to commit the flash to lock down Shaden with that flash chain of corruption, and he has no flash to get away from Certi in the back half, so he falls.
Certi is picking apart these fights, and you can see the strength that he brings to the roster. Again, I was saying before, it was something it felt like it was missing from this top lane. The strength, the confidence coming through. He just completed his Black Cleaver, and he's going to be confident as ever.
We'll say, for the side of EG, somewhat more defensive builds, as Ryoma doesn't want the local gold for that. All right. Let that go to the waste. EG just awarded the local gold here on the outside turrets. Not needed. It's actually a big chunk.
It is a little bit. We'll see how that maybe affects them later on, but nothing else right now. We did have those pretty much completed.
No. In the spirit of min-maxing, trying to play this game to the highest level.
We did finally get those 4 stacks for Shaden, though, so he does have that little bit of range increase in all the likely candidates. He did, but it comes back up quickly when you're within Wolf's perspective. We will see, though, now, with that switch up and a little bit of that downtime here, it is an 8-kill game, but it has been tooth and nail between these two teams, and especially between Certi and Bradley, the big focus coming into this one.
This is how the matchup looks later with Gangplank. As you can see, it is the Collector giving Gangplank that injection of lethality. Expect an LDR coming up next for the GP as Smoothie. Ooh. Very casually sidestepping a death rush from TLC. This has been spotted at the start as Soul Point on the table for TLC. EG Ryoma is spotted on this flank, and this is going to be a fight force.
Cannon Barrage available for Bradley. They got to get the Dragon. Mir gets it. That's 3rd Dragon of the game for TL, but that's maybe a big encore coming across. The Cannon Barrage is finally being used. Ken down as well. Mir trying to get out, but look at EG. They're streaming forward here, too. It's Certi. He's leading the charge. He's going for the triple counter-strike. Can he get it? The Pop Blossom in return from Harry, though, and that means he's just dragged out with the rest of them. 3 kills to EG for the 1 Smoothie. I'll take that trade every day.
It's all about the opener from King to the Encore Flash. Got 3 members at TLC. Harry was over the wall, so he was never able to get involved as his Flash is down, and the engage being at the hands of EGC, I think, was the big difference in this one. Mir goes in, secures the Dragon, then it's all about retreat. Bradley does a good job of healing, but there is the Encore Flash. Finds 3 from TLC. Great follow-up from Certi and Ryoma. As the resets start coming in for the Ahri, they run rampant, and EGC, man. This is our best team in TLC. Oh boy, hold on.
We're still flipping here, maybe. Mir has the smite, has everything available. EG realize it, and they back away immediately. Mir's trying to get in there, force the fight, though, because he got CP coming in from Harry, too. He's tanking it up, though, but Kim down, he's just gone. Mir gets a big kick from Shaden, but he is in the midst of everything in the Lamb's Respite. He's just taken out by Certi. And you were talking about the team fight for TL, but it doesn't matter when your hand is forced. That Certi is banging on your door. 1 more for Evil Geniuses. They look back here with a couple of their members onto this Baron.
If you don't remove the Seraphine, you can't find the win. King stays alive, tops off his entire team, gonna even hit the base and TP right back as EGC. What a game from them against our #1 seed going into playoffs, Mazel. EGC 8-2 in their last 10, continue to ride the confidence, and this is a team that looks good going in the playoffs, and they are taking it to the team that has been dominating this split in Challengers.
The Turo Baron buff paves the drive to survive here for Evil Geniuses. I really appreciate the fact that they have had this come up in the 2nd round robin. They have had an incredible connection between Certi and Shaden here that just feels right, honestly. It's been a question a long time in Certi's passive. We know he's so good in lane. We know he can take you up and down in a 1v1 matchup. But it was about that transition. It was about him actually turning around games and winning them. And the fact that we have a 406 Certi, a 516 Shaden, the connection has been there all game long.
And these are the connections that EGC have just been looking for, you know? Again, this is a roster we looked at. It was like, hey, this team has talent. Why are they at the bottom of the standings after the 1st round robin? Certi comes on in. I don't know if this is just the mental reset the team needed or the wake-up call to start playing at the level we know these guys can play at, but they are showing up and showing out on the Rift again against TLC, who have been dominant this split. It doesn't matter if it's been Harry or APA. TLC have been the team to beat, and EGC, they're doing so right now.
And we taking down a tier 2 tower down here as well. Keep pressuring onto Team Liquid, who in the team fight still do have some answers, but their base is going to be in tatters as Certi takes the mid lane tier 2-2.
See if they shift to that last outer turret on the top side as EGC. They would still love the 5 stack. Again, if Seraphine is not removed from the map, it's no dice here for the side of TLC.
I love that Certi's stutter stepping right there.
He's emote spamming against his old friends a little bit, as of course Was in
He
the
knows
TL's
him well.
Office. Yeah.
I think it's been really cool to see. He was on Team Liquid first in last split, but really being the sub behind Bradley, pushing him forward is something we talked about so much.
Tim. It's a very aggressive angle from Tim. Not going to find it on the Nautilus. TLC's not going to fight. Their last inner turret falls. And EGC, I should say, probably going to reset and make sure that this Cloud Soul is just denied from TLC.
Try to get the stacking undertow here. The Zanyas ends up coming completed for both Ryoma and Certi as we get our third item spikes really underway for Evil Geniuses. Still waiting on a couple of those completions for Team Liquid, and we'll see EG not want to rest here at all. Go straight back onto the map, get ready for this dragon in about 30 seconds.
This felt like a playoff match, Mizel. And I think that for EGC, a team that we have been really looking towards when it comes to coming together, and seeing them do so in the past couple of weeks, that's the biggest compliment that I can give, honestly, each of our teams. As I think this has been a well-played game at times from each, but EGC just getting the better of them with this team fight execution.
Yeah.
The Seraphine really being something at TLC, it doesn't look like they can remove. They didn't find the big Pop Blossom combos early enough to get gold lead and snowball this game ahead. Now, you're looking at the scoreboard. Kindred's got a whole wit's end on the Wii Sin. Seraphine in the back pocket with a Rakan too. That's pretty scary. TLC just trying to play for this top lane.
Certi going for the aggressive play, will get capitalized on. He goes gold and buying enough time for TPs to come through. He leap strikes out to buy even more time. And now he's looking forward with the counter-strike. Doesn't end up going with it, but it's a collapse from both teams in topside. And we have that dragon taken by EG. Now we're just looking for big fights. Encore comes through, flashed away from by Arrow. Big double root connect, but it's already trade back for both supports. Harry can't find the Pop Blossom there either. And now Mir's way overextended. He gets the kick back, but he should just go down. Who's going to claim the kill? One auto attack from Ryoma gets it. Harry just gets sniped up by Shaden too.
Yeah, it was a double dash away from Ryoma. Harry didn't feel like he could flash forward on the Pop Blossom. He gets melted at the end. Even flashes away from Shaden to no avail. And EGC, that's going to be all.
It.
They wrap this one up. Great game from EGC.
It was no kills for so long. It was the thinking man's game that we set up here. A potential playoff preview between two hot teams. And it's Evil Geniuses with the comp to execute. Did so, and even with all that scaling strength you had highlighted so heavily, they didn't need to even think about it. 9,000 gold in the lead, 2 inhibs down, and lasting damage against our #1 team in the league.
You know, we talked so much in the last series, that 2-0 that Disguised found over Wildcard, how it builds some momentum in the playoffs. EGC, again, just riding high, taking down our top team 2-0. They had a split against Wildcard, but also that last series of the week, last week, Mizel, 2-0 against FlyQuest, as EG in the last 2 weeks of the regular season looking to go, let's see, that would be 4-1 against the teams that are at the top of our standings that they did end up facing, and have a game left to try and make that 5-1. As it's not like EG, it's not like they're 8-2 against bad teams. They're doing this against our top teams in the league, Mizel. Again, a team that we had expectations for, to see them finally rise to the occasion and meet them just in time before playoffs. Now we just gotta hope they can see it through, man, because our playoffs are gonna be very exciting in Challengers. If we can get teams like EGC and AoE playing at this level towards the back half of the season, they're gonna be lower seeds, and those are teams that I would fear if I'm anyone in Challengers playoffs.
I think Shaden deserves a lot of credit in being a pillar that this team built around for so long. He has been such an influential jungler in how this team plays, but it's been the pieces around him that I feel like have really made it stick. King this split, finally, my God, finally! We got this guy in LCS Challengers. He has been tearing it up this split. Certi comes in, provides so much influence, and I just got to give my Certi bias out right now. It is so incredibly refreshing to see a team that can play around him and use him as the weapon that he is.
Baron going to fall second to row. Baron buff secured by the side of EGC. And I think this one's going to be the nail in the coffin for TLC. They're going to have to try and even up the series on the back end.
One last push with the Teemo O-face there. We'll see if he gets over here now. As
That's an elite emote. You know what I'm actually the saltiest about? I opened the shop. I looked for the white flag emote. It was a goddamn exclusive.
It was an exclusive.
I just want to fly the white flag, man. Riot, let me pull out. I haven't pulled out my wallet for this game in like forever. I looked for it for the white flag emote. Put it back.
Put it back, please. Put it back. TL are saying, please put it back to a dead ball state in game number 1 because it has been a slacking from EG as they now will move forward for a final push. They have one last inhib to take down, but it's Kim down who goes down before that even happens. And it's just one more push from Evil Geniuses to signal the end here. And they got a lead early. They had an aggressive come, and they took it to our first team in the league. A couple more deaths, a couple more pads at the KDA. But game 1 of our final series of the day goes whole-handedly to the Evil Geniuses, cracking the plan.
What a look from EGC as they play a rather competitive game on the map against TLC. The team that I said coming into this game, they're the best team when it comes to playing map that we have in the league. In EGC, they went toe-for-toe with them, and I think played out their team comp better, given what was given. So TLC didn't get far ahead enough early. They weren't able to remove the Seraphine in the later stages of the game, and you can see what happens when Seraphine isn't dealt with. That champ might see the ban list coming up for the next one.
Some changes for Team Liquid ahead, I'm sure. Spawn gonna whip them up into shape here, make sure it doesn't go that way yet again. We'll see how it goes, though, after a short little break, as we'll have a Rally Cry halftime segment with Grapes right after this.
The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace. Find your drive.